This is Chicago. At the dawn of the 21st century, Chicago's media was dominated by a handful of major corporations. But a resistance movement arose to free Chicago's media from their clutches. One player in this movement is the Chicago Independent Media Center and its TV show, Chicago Independent Television. The Independent Media Center is a worldwide network of grassroots correspondents committed to using the tools of the media for promoting social and economic justice. You are watching this month's dispatch from the Chicago Independent Media Center.
Welcome to Chicago Independent Television, a collection of video reports by citizen media producers from Chicago and beyond, produced free from corporate or commercial support or influence. I'm your host, Joy Truskowski. In this episode, we'll review some Chicago activist actions in the summer of 2008. We'll view efforts both at the Taste of Chicago and at the Chicago Air and Water Show. We'll also join a downtown Chicago march against a possible U.S. bombing of Iran. And we'll see a reenactment of the famous 1968 Chicago protests against the Democratic National Convention. Stay with us.
On February 17, 2009, all high-power analog TV in America ends, to be replaced by digital television. You probably heard about that, but there's a lot about this conversion that you probably haven't heard. About 50 million people in America still use analog TV, most of whom are poor, elderly, or don't speak English. There's no plan and little funding by government and industry for outreach and serving the public, and broadcasters are hoarding up free TV spectrum for themselves rather than for public use. Get the facts. Visit dtvredalert.org to learn more.
Welcome back to Chicago Independent Television. 500,000 people crowd Chicago's beachfront every August for the Chicago Air and Water Show. This year's Air and Water Show also saw a protest for peace and a peculiar counter-response, as we'll see in this next segment.
2008 marks the 50th anniversary of the Chicago Air and Water Show, an annual display on Chicago's lakefront of aircraft and seacraft, including military hardware, and a bonanza for military recruiters. It's also a ripe fruit for political activists critical of the war, who gather at the North Avenue footbridge during the show. But at this year's Protest for Peace, unlike in previous protests, things were different.
My name is Ron Kunde. I'm with Chicago Media Action. This is the 16th year we've been protesting the Chicago Air and Water Show. This is my 12th year. We basically have been stating that the Chicago Air and Water Show is a military commercial for spending and recruitment. And this is the second year they've had the protest zone, which are 3.5-foot barriers. They moved them away from the sidewalk yesterday, so we have to reach across to people. They have to walk through 8 feet of sand in order to get our flyers. It's very difficult. We were out on for 14 years, we were out on the sidewalk talking to people, distributing flyers. There was never a problem. Now we've been told if we are outside the protest zone, we will be arrested. The ACLU has informed us that they have never won a free speech zone case. Thus, if we are arrested, we're on our own. The National Lawyers Guild has been informed the last 2 years that we're here. We're having severe problems. No one from the National Lawyers Guild has shown up. We're on our own. The police are telling us all kinds of things, and perhaps they're correct, perhaps they're not, but it would help if we had some legal representation here. We really feel abandoned.
I think it's completely illegal. They have to have a public safety reason to suppress free speech, to exercise control over it before it's exercised. They say that the corporate council, it determined that we represent an impediment to traffic. That would be about 12 of us in a group of officially estimated, I don't know, 500,000 people. The 12 of us are an impediment to public safety and traffic? I don't think so. There's no justification whatsoever. This is a public park. It's not a shopping mall. It's nobody's private property. This is public space. And if we can't have discussion of life and death issues in public space, there's no free speech. So I am encouraging everyone to call up and make a stick about it.
What has been the response of passersby who are attending the Air and Water Show to what you're doing?
This year, it's a bit different. It's almost as if I'm seeing more zombies. You remember, I've been doing it for 12 years, so I really have a good reference. People are looking ahead. They're not looking at our signs. There have been abusive comments, as there always have, but I'm seeing more people who don't want to look at the message. They're worried about their health care. They've lost their jobs. They've lost their homes. It's awful. They don't want to think about this. They just want to see the planes and go home, and they don't want any possibility of cognitive dissonance.
You're watching Chicago Independent Television.
I see the soul of a nation, must be true cause I've seen it on TV.
I am a soldier who survived the fear of facing Uncle Sam and saying, "Sir, no sir. I won't fight for lies. Forgive me, wounded soldier, for not being there to ease your pain. I'll try on this end to bring you home now."